The phenomenal AJ Styles has done virtually everything there is to do in the world of professional wrestling. From holding championships in TNA, Ring of Honor, New Japan, and even WWE, AJ Styles has cemented himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And as it looks like AJ is coming towards the end of his run as a full-time in-ring talent, he is left with one final decision to make. And that is whether to stay in WWE and finish out his career with the company that he's wrestled with for nearly the past decade, or go off and sign with AEW to end his professional wrestling career. And in this video, we're going to talk about that decision and why I truly believe AJ Styles will not only go to AEW, but why it is the right decision, and talk about the major storyline that AEW should use to bring AJ into the company. All that and much more coming up right here in this video. I'm Omer Q for Real Take Wrestling. Be sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. As I said before, AJ Styles has done everything there is to do in professional wrestling, from his early days wrestling in WCW to eventually becoming the workhorse of TNA wrestling and eventually the face of that brand. AJ has done everything he has done on his own. He has been his own man. He has created his own name for himself. And as it stands in 2025, you could argue that there are not many wrestlers of all time that have the resume of an AJ Styles. He is one of one. He, in the ring, on that microphone, and as far as the accomplishments that he has garnered throughout his career, is one of the all-time greats. But it looks like his time in WWE may be coming to an end. And this not only is because of the fact that his contract is reportedly expiring in the latter part of 2025, but also because AJ has even claimed that he is at the end of his road. AJ is going to be prioritizing his family. He's going to be prioritizing life after wrestling over the next couple of years. So in the end, whatever decision AJ makes needs to not only be right for himself, his family, but also his future. And if we want to talk about securing your future, if we want to talk about securing the bag, then I think testing free agency makes all the sense in the world. AJ Styles, if he goes and tests the free agent market with AEW, has the potential to not only make even more money probably than he's going to make in WWE, but he also has a chance to go to a company where legends actually are able to finish out their careers in pretty strong ways. Look at Sting. No one could have thought that when Sting joined AEW, he would have the run that he's had, but it is arguably the best thing that Tony Khan has ever or will ever book. AEW Revolution 2024 was a resounding success, filling the Greensboro Coliseum with over 16,000 fans to witness Sting's final match, a send-off to an icon, and ironically enough, someone who AJ has crossed paths with several times throughout his wrestling journey. And for AJ Styles, I think the potential is on the table to have a very similar run. I do think that if AJ comes in and says that I'm only here for 1 or 2 years and I'm going to make the most of it, I think that right there sets the table for an eventual retirement that is comparable to whatever we saw with Sting, that is comparable to probably what we're going to see with Adam Copeland or Christian Cage or some of these other older faces in AEW who are hitting the end of their journeys. And as far as how AEW should bring in AJ, I think there's several different ways you could do that, but the way that I keep thinking about it is you take the AJ Styles character back to his roots and you connect it with something that was very integral in the formation of AEW and really lean heavily into it, that being the Bullet Club. In 2014, AJ Styles took over leadership of the Bullet Club, and it was one of the biggest groups in professional wrestling. And there are residual storylines that AEW can still draw from that period. Not only does AJ Styles have a lot of history with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, but it was Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks who kicked AJ Styles out of the Bullet Club, kicked him out of New Japan, and sent him packing to WWE. That is in the story. That is how they ended things. That is the last time we saw these characters on a professional wrestling setting compete and converse with each other. So, in my view, that's where you slot AJ in immediately. You don't wait. You don't say that, oh, we're eventually going to build up to it and it's going to be a cool thing. You go right from the start. And here's how you do it. It's very likely that the Elite are going to come together as a babyface group over the next year at some point. It looks like that's what they're building towards. We're finally going to get a reunion of the Elite. And once that happens, I think that opens the door for some really compelling storytelling. Because I think over the next couple of weeks, after the Elite have reunited and they are looking to get the trios belts or whatever, that's when you have Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows at ringside for their matches. They're in the audience. They are waiting. They are looking and awing and oohing at everything Kenny Omega is doing because God damn it, Kenny Omega is such a great wrestler. But point is, the Good Brothers are there. They are free agents, obviously, in real life, and I think it would make all the sense in the world to bring them in for this story. And they are looking at the Elite and just watching. And when asked about it backstage, they're like, we're not here. We're not signed with the company. We're here as fans. And we just wanted to say, we appreciate what you guys have done for pro wrestling. And over the next couple of weeks, have them be there, have them sit there. But then one time when they are up for the trios belts, when Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks are competing for the trios championships, at that point, have Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson actually cost them the championships, have them cost that opportunity. That would not only build up a potential match, but then it would leave the question, why? Why did Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson get involved? Two people who, in storyline, are not even involved with the company. And eventually, you build up to this big match. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Carl Anderson, Doc Gallows, and a mystery opponent to be determined later. And we get to the pay-per-view, let's call it AEW Revolution 2026, and we get to that pay-per-view, and at Revolution, we have the Good Brothers in the ring, we have the Elite in the ring, and then introducing the Good Brothers tag team partner, a hush goes on the arena. No one comes, and the match starts as a handicap match. And we get the Good Brothers fighting the good fight, doing what they have to do, maybe cheating along the way a little bit. But in the end, we see the Elite outnumbering them and outpowering them. And we see all of the hits. Kenny Omega hits a V-trigger, eliminating Doc Gallows from the match. We then see the Young Bucks hitting the BTE trigger on Carl Anderson. And as Kenny Omega goes to lift him up for the One-Winged Angel, the lights go out in the arena. And when they come back on, we see the phenomenal AJ Styles in the ring, looking at Kenny and just hitting him in the gut. And then he hits Kenny with the Styles Clash. Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson are able to take out the Young Bucks, and we get the new grouping of the Good Brothers, the whatever we want to call them, the OC, the Bullet Club. They are back. And then we build up to the match that everyone wants to see. AJ Styles and the newly reformed OC versus the Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. There's so many branch off matches you could do. You could do the tag team matches between these two. You could do the one-on-one match of AJ and Kenny at some point, and you should do that. And that should be how you bring AJ into the company. Make it feel important. Make it feel big time. Make it feel like it is worthy of a star of AJ's caliber, because one of the things you don't want to happen is AJ just comes in and is involved in a random feud with Kevin Knight or Speedball Mike Bailey, which shout out to both of those talent. They are immensely huge talent, but you can't have AJ come in and do that right off the bat. You need something box office. You need something blockbuster. And I think a matchup with the Elite alongside the Good Brothers is exactly what AJ Styles, the fans, and AEW, if they play their cards right, deserve. But in the end, I guess we'll see what happens. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think AJ Styles will eventually do? Will he stay with WWE? Will he eventually go to AEW? And how would you want to see him debut in that company? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, be sure to smash that thumbs up if you haven't already done so. Subscribe and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released.